Welcome to Adult Puzzle, a podcast where we talk all things adulting.
We all know adulting is a scam, right?
Real scam, very real scam. Honestly, no one knows everything, so we're all in this together.
One puzzle at a time.
We're puzzled together, man.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Adult Puzzle Podcast.
Lamide had a good week.
Your favorite hosts, Lamide and Lolade here to give you the business, to give you all the adulting tips, to give you all the adulting stories. We are not therapists, neither are we
We're not
psychologists.
experts.
We are
Please
not
don't use
experts.
us as guide because we don't even know where we are going.
You understand? We're just here to rant and listen.
We're just here to rant, open space for relatability. Honestly, that's it. That's all we
Pretty
can promise.
much. Let's adults together. And today we have a very interesting conversation planned for you guys. We're talking about closure, and
Can I just say
it's
something?
tell me.
So when you told me, so guys, typically Lamidi and I we like come up with ideas on our own and like we bring it to each other. So that way there is that element of we're surprised on air and we like that element of it. And so when Lamide told me about closure and how like he was thinking about us talking about it, da 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 da. I remember at first I was like, oh shoot, oh shoot, oh shoot. Is this a topic I want to have on air? Is this a conversation I want to have? But then the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I could learn so much from Lamide. I don't know Lamide's take on, what he's gonna ask or like what
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about, but I'm very curious. I know I say this every single time, but this episode for real, I'm very curious to see how it unfolds. So please take it away.
Of course, of course, of course. I'm happy you like it and you're excited. Hopefully, you see.
Hopefully I can stay that way.
You understand? Exactly. So you guys already are used to it by now. Like every episode this season, we're kicking it off with like painting you a picture or giving you a scenario of something before diving into the topic proper. And Glady, if you don't mind, let's assume like you and someone have been dating, you have a partner, you've been dating for 18 months, right? They're about a year
18
plus.
months. Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, since when did you become a mom? You know, mothers do that thing.
exactly.
Their child is like 2 years, they'll say 24 months.
24
Like,
months.
bro, I'm
I thought that thing was weird. I don't even know why I did.
like, Lavender, what's happening? Is this something that you need to tell me that I don't
Oh
know
my
about?
god. Not anytime soon, please. But yeah, okay, you and your partner, you've dating for about a year plus, a year and a half, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And of course, I'm assuming at this point, these things are fairly serious. Or serious. A year plus is something serious, right?
Yeah.
You know? And the partner breaks up with you, and he's citing personal reasons, the famous "it's not you, it's me" line. Do you think you will require closure before you can move on? Or you're like, F it, life goes on?
Mm. And the breakup line is like, it's not you, it's me. Like,
It's
I'm the
me
one
type of
that
situation.
is,
Or
yeah.
if let's even take it a step further, he just ghosts you.
After a year and a half, you ghost me. That's going to be hard. I won't lie. If you ghost me after a year and a half of us being in a relationship,
Hmm.
oof, that will be hard. That will be hard.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Do I require? I will want closure. I feel like in that type of instance, if you ghost me, like I would want to make sense of it. So I might go searching. Like I might go asking questions to your friends. If I know your family members, maybe your siblings, I might go asking. But like, I wouldn't just take it as, oh yeah, he ghosted me. Peace out. I'm done. If he ghosted me, oh the whole like it's not you, it's me.
Hmm.
um I feel like if things, it depends on this the stage that our relationship is at the time, right? Like if things are going really well and this whole breakup caught me by surprise, yes, I think I would want more to hold on to, because like from my perspective it's like, okay, things are going well for me, then like, what do you mean they're not going well for you? Like, I would want you to explain more about, like, it's not you, it's me. Like, okay, what does that mean? Is there something you're going through? Is there something that is not right for you in this dynamic? Like, is there something that is stopping you from seeing or experiencing the relationship the way I'm experiencing it? So if things are going well on my end, because again, it's a relationship is not really just you, it's you and the other person. I know there are some times where one person might be having the time of their life in the relationship, another person might be dying, right? But if things are going well on my end, I think I would be caught by surprise and I would want more. Like, I would want more to kind of send to kind of serve as closure. And if I don't get that, I think I'm fine to take it as, it's him, right? Like, he says he's the one, but I won't lie, subconsciously I might create my own closure, if that makes sense.
Can you
Like,
expand on that? That's interesting.
just jump into like certain conclusions, and that's me creating my own
Mm,
closure. It might be something like, oh, maybe he didn't like me enough, or maybe we weren't on the same page, maybe it's, he's going through this and this and that. But like, I might, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I might do that subconsciously just to allow me like fully let go. I think. Yeah. I've
that's
never been in that
interesting.
type of situation, but what would you do in both situations?
And
Somebody goes to you
and
and
just
then
even
somebody
before
says,
I answer that, yeah, just
yeah,
another quick follow up. What do you prefer, like breaking up in person or text or via text?
oof, 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 oof. Ah, I've never done the breakup in person or been broken up with in person.
Ah.
So I feel like I don't have that experience. I mean, I've had like, arguments in person and like take a break, but then we end up coming back to each other, that type of thing. But
Mm.
like real breakup, actually, you know what? Let me think about this because I'm thinking about certain parts of my life that I try to just
Oh my,
remove. Just exclude,
oh my god.
compartmentalize, and never open
Not
it up again.
me opening forcing you to
I
open
know,
parts of your.
forcing me to open up would. I feel like it's definitely harder to take in something that you don't want to hear when you're in person,
Mm,
right? Because at least when it's like done over text, you can run away from it, right? Like,
mm,
you know, put your phone to the side, throw your phone away, block the person, hide the messages, like all of those type of things, right? And you can kind of control how you process instinctively, like in the moment.
mm-hmm,
But in person, just thinking back some of the experiences that I've had where we had like a really tough conversation in person, it's a lot. And I feel like something about me, and I don't know if everyone is like this, but there are certain times where I don't even recognize everything that I'm feeling in a moment. So I need to take my space to fully process. And
mm,
in person, because like I'm not allowed that processing, there's certain things that I may say or do that I might regret later on, if that makes sense. So like
mm-hmm,
things like, oh, just ignoring the red flags and just still wanting to be with the person, or I don't know, like crying, showing weakness, or just certain things that like in hindsight, like if it wasn't in person, I would have had more control over it. So I think me personally, yeah, I might prefer a breakup not in person,
okay.
actually. Yeah. I'll prefer it over a phone though. Like, don't text me. Don't text me or send me an email or a letter or ghost me. Yeah, but
Mm.
yeah. How about you? Everything. I want to know your own stance.
Yeah, okay. I'll start with the scenario first. I think I thought me some years ago
Mm-hmm.
needed closure just to understand. I
Mm-hmm.
still think like to a large extent I would, but I think because I haven't dated in a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, I I think closure
You
is
haven't been in a
overrated.
serious relationship. I think you've
Sorry,
dated.
I haven't been in a serious relationship in a
Yeah.
good minute, and I think like moving forward, closure might be overrated. Do you understand? Like, so, and we'll get to that
Mhm.
conversation. But yeah, I usually, Omo, I need closure because there was a time someone hit me with the bass and everything, and I couldn't find my bearing for like a good 3 months. Like, I was lost. I was thinking, I'll be having flashbacks. I'll be remembering the exact moment and all that. Like, so it was just a very limbo like situation
Mhm.
where you're questioning yourself, you're questioning what you did wrong, like
Mhm.
things that you thought were normal, apparently, of course, were not normal, hence the breakup, but like it just becomes really, really weird and hard to move on. Do you understand? Especially when you did like the person,
Mhm.
and you've had so many memories and good memories at that with that person. So I think, yeah, I prefer, I need closure. Like, you can't just break up with me after a year and a half, 2 years, and not like at least courtesy demands you let me know where your mind's at, not with like blanket statements like, it's not you, it's me. Okay. What happened to you? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what?
Wait,
Help
so
me
are you
understand.
saying, because now you're confusing me, because you said a second ago that you think closure might be overrated, but you're saying you need closure.
Yo, I'm saying like futuristically now, I'm like
Mhm.
F it just because of,
Okay. Your past.
yeah, my past. You get what I'm saying? But I'm just trying
Mhm.
to tell you the reality of where I've been. Like, when I
Mhm.
was in a serious relationship, that was
Mhm.
something I needed. I never
Yeah.
got it, but that was something I needed. And because I never got it and I was able to come out of it, I'm now thinking my new way of thinking now moving forward, like maybe it's really overrated. Do you understand? Because much
Mm.
like you, I painted a scenario for myself and I'm like, that's what happened, that's what happened. Do
Oh, so
you
that's how
understand?
you got out of it. You
That's
you
how,
made
that's
your own
I
like
made
picture.
my own conclusion. Exactly. I made
Yeah.
my own picture and I painted it, I signed on it, like I put it in the gallery and it was sold. And yeah, like
Yeah.
that's how I got over it because I just couldn't reconcile the decisions then with how I was feeling. Like, I was just in
Mhm.
shambles. And to answer the question of whether break up in person or uh over text, I would say I prefer break up in person.
Mm.
Just, it's
Most
like
people do, I think.
I do, but it will shock you that the break up in person, I didn't get closure on that one.
I feel
Because
like
every
breakup
time
in person is harder. That's kind of why I'm like, I would rather not deal with that.
it is
Like, I
hard
want to go the easy way out, right?
and you're like dumbfounded for like 90% of that
Yeah,
conversation.
because like you're literally you can't control how you're just dumbfounded is the exact way to describe it. Like dodomu, all of it
Do you
together.
understand? Just your mouth will be open. You'll be like, what's happening? Like, is this real? Someone pinch me type of situation.
And both ways too. Like when you're the person being broken up with and when you're the one doing the breaking up with. Cause like if I'm breaking up with somebody in person, I'm nervous as hell because I obviously know I'm gonna hurt somebody's feeling. And if somebody's breaking my heart, I'm just like a hot mess. So I think both ways is hard in person.
Ah, and then that popular line to that question, are you breaking up with me right?
I've actually never had that before. Have
Oh
I?
my
I don't
gosh.
know. Okay, so I want to like circle back on what you were talking about. Is closure overrated? So you think it is overrated?
I think it is Olade. I
That's
can't lie
interesting.
to you. And here's why.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and let's just even explain, right? Closure, like getting proper context as to why a breakup is happening or like
Mm-hmm.
information that must have informed their decisions at that point in time
Mm-hmm.
and just allowing you the, I mean, luxury of reconciling that and making
Mm-hmm.
peace with that and moving forward. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it makes sense or not, but at least you get context as to why a person
Mm-hmm.
is calling enough. Okay, cool. I think it's overrated because I haven't had it. I was miserable, yes, but life was able to continue. Plus, I think like closure at the end of the day, when you like people say this thing a lot, what you don't know won't kill you. Do you get what I'm saying? What
Mm-hmm.
if the closure you're giving me makes me hate you more?
Hmm. Let's actually talk about that because I feel like I see where you're coming from, right? In
Hmm.
the sense of like, at the end of the day, life goes on, right?
Hmm.
So, are you going to stay in that miserable state for the rest of your life? Probably not. That's not the wisest thing to do, you know?
Hmm.
But to kind of like circle back on what you were saying, and you know, with me, science in me is going to pop out. I feel
Let's
like
go.
there is that like human nature to want to understand like the situation, like to want to make sense of the situation. And I think that's why when we don't get closure from the people that we want it from, we jump into our own conclusion. We kind of create our own closure, right? Because if not, your brain is just in that constant overdrive. You continue to analyze, over and analyze, and depending on the dynamic, you might now even start to like self blame, or like just go into rabbit holes that you shouldn't have been into. You'd be doing investigational work that you shouldn't be
Hmm.
doing, like all of those type of things, right? So from the human nature, like natural element sense of things, I think it's normal to want to crave it. Like it's normal to want to make sense of it. It's normal, to your point. I like the way you describe closure. It's normal to want to understand that like clear answer to why. Like, okay, why is this ending? You don't want the ambiguity. You want to kind of have something to hold on to. I get that. Um Now something I do agree with you on is that sometimes, yeah, there's closure that if you hear it, it's gonna break you even more, right?
Hmm.
Like crumble you even further and than if you did not know it. But in my opinion, right, I personally feel like there are certain types of closures that are easier to hold on to, and there's certain types that are harder to hold on to. And they're kind of in their they're in a dynamic nature. So let me try and break this down. So there are certain
Hmm.
times where like for you to fully let go of somebody, you want something extreme to have happened. Like extreme main meaning maybe they cheated on you and you're like, yeah, it's just a fucking cheater, like fucking whatever, whatever, whatever. Or, another extreme can be like physically abusive. It's obvious that you need to let go of that person, right? So like that's one extreme where you find out and it's easy, like it hurts, right? But it's
Hmm.
easy for you to let go. Now there's not like another type of closure where you find out what led him or her to break up with you, but it doesn't sit right with you because maybe
Hmm.
you caused it. So one thing that I recently saw on TikTok, I've been loving. I've been spending way too much time on TikTok. I swear, way too much time. But there was this one where, and I don't. This is such a sensitive topic, and yeah. But basically, this guy and this lady. They had gotten married. I think like 4 years down the line, the woman's body had like changed. She had gained I think about like 50 pounds from when they started dating, and he wasn't attracted to her like he was before. And he told her, like she noticed that something was off, and he told her like, yo, I don't think I'm physically attracted to you anymore. And she actually went to go and do something about it, and like change her body, whatever, whatever, whatever. However, I was thinking about it. I think that's a great, like they have a great dynamic where they could talk to each other, blah blah blah.
I was
But
just
I'm
about
pretty
to
sure.
say, like, wow, he had that. He told her I'm not
Yeah,
attracted to
no,
you.
and the thing is, like, I'm summarizing it now. Like, she was obviously hurt. It obviously took time,
Hmm.
whatever, whatever, whatever. But imagine if, in that type of situation, a man breaks up with you, right, and he leaves and says, "Oh, it's not you, it's me," right, and that's what he gives you. But then
Mm.
you keep asking for more, you keep asking for more,
Because
you
he
keep
doesn't want to
asking
hurt
for
your
more
feelings. He
because he doesn't
doesn't
want to
come
hurt your
straight.
feeling. He
Hmm.
doesn't come shit, and then he now comes at you and says, "Well, I don't see." Like that will hurt. That will hurt me so much. Like it will hurt me so much.
My
And
point
like,
exactly.
do you get? So that's another case where like did you really and yes, you can now take that and now use it to better yourself, which is probably what's going to happen. But in the moment you can't lie that it's harder to let go of, because it seems like in that situation, you, as much as like he walked away, but like he walked away because of you, because of something
Mm,
that you changed, you know. So I do agree with you. Certain types of closures are harder. Now, what I will say to kind of wrap this up to answer the question, I
mm,
do feel like certain types of closures can be overrated. And the overrated ones for me are the ones where you're kind of looking for like an extreme situation to fully let go. So I think sometimes there might be like small mini things that it's quite apparent that like this was big enough for somebody else or big enough for the other party to want to end it, but because in your head it's like so small, like what, you just want to keep holding on to the person. I personally feel like it can be a bit overrated when you're just waiting for like one huge thing. And I know I've kind of experienced this in a minor way where it was kind of like it was harder to let go
mm-hmm,
because it wasn't like a huge like, oh, it's obvious you guys shouldn't be together. It was like mini little things here and there, here and there, here and there, here and
mm-hmm.
there that kind of made it harder. But I kind of think now, you know, in hindsight, that was overrated. Like why like I should have just taken that, carried my bag and dipped, but I kept holding on because it didn't really make much
You know what's
sense.
funny, Raji? I'm
What?
just thinking as you were talking right now, and I've not made up an opinion per se about this, but walk with me.
Hmm. Okay.
Do you think I wouldn't need closure if it was something big? If the reason for our breakup was something big, do you get what I'm saying?
But that is
Like
the
where
closure.
it's obvious to the two parties. But closure. Okay, fine, that's a good point. But I'm saying the way most of us understand closure is usually the conversation afterwards, like, oh, why did you break up with me? Not like when we both know that this thing is not going to work because something major had happened, like a major fight or a major disagreement in ideologies or something like that. Like you both know why the breakup
So
happened.
I think that's closure as well. So that's the extreme one that I'm talking. So that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like
Oh,
usually people are always waiting to see that extreme closure before they let go.
I
But
see.
sometimes those mini ones of like you need to have a conversation of why this might not keep working. That's the one that is always harder to hold on to. You
Mm-hmm,
that's the one that
mm-hmm.
people always keep asking like, okay,
It's like
why?
you're
Like this
breaking up
doesn't
with
make
me
this
because I
doesn't make
squeezed
sense.
the toothpaste from the middle.
Do you get? And I think that's the one that's overrated. So you're right. Like it's not as clear, and that's why it makes it so much harder because typically we want the closure to be clear, firm. Like okay, this makes sense.
You're right.
But
I hear
yeah,
you and I see what you're saying now.
I think that can be overrated, and some people call it like having rose shade glasses on, where it's like you're not
Hmm.
seeing it as what it is, as much as it's small. You're not seeing it, but yeah, and that's where most people find themselves a lot of times.
I agree completely, and I agree with you. It's overrated because at the end of the day, there's nothing like the person can say that
Mm-hmm.
will make you feel good. So why exactly do you just want to hear? Do you understand? Like a breakup
Yep.
is already hard in itself. So like, what would closure? Like almost overrated. I needed it too, but I'm just saying, even if the person was able to, you know, say something, I'll still be hurt that we are not together anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, is it just like an emotional softener or dampener?
It
Dampener, I
helps. We
guess is
can't
the word.
lie that breakups are hard. Breakups are extremely hard, right? Especially if you really like this person. And
Mm-hmm.
so already your brain is going through like a state of confusion because it's like, okay, this person that used to be a huge part of my life is not part of my life, right? And typically, you know how there's different stages of grief, or is it, yeah, different stages of grief, I think with a certain type of breakups, there are different stages. Honestly, truly, I won't lie to you. I feel like they are. So it makes sense why your brain is going to want something to hold on to, especially when you don't want to let go. Like especially
Mm.
when you don't want to let go. So I can't sit here and say don't ask for closure because I don't even know how I'm going to be my next breakup she gets. But I can say and say I have recognized that there are certain types of closures that are overrated. Like sometimes you don't need a big blowout that's obvious that you guys should end it. Sometimes it might just be something that's big enough for one party for it to be the end, you know?
You're right. You're right. You're right. Um, I I just think, yeah, you said it perfectly, to be honest, because even when I've been the one doing the breaking up and everything, those stages of like, at the initial point, there's a whole lot of anger and raging emotions at that point in time. Like, there's no form of closure or point you want to make that will make any sense. Do you
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying? If you're trying to give someone closure at that point in time. And so maybe also when you provide closure is something that people should look at, like at what stage of grief or the breakup do you want to provide closure where people, the other party can understand it. Might be something to consider too as well. But just a question for you. Why do you think we ask for closure?
Mm. I think it's to make sense of things. To like to craving for like acceptance and to allow you move on. It's like, okay, I need to make sense of this and I need to accept. There needs to be something that allows my brain accepts that this is why this has ended.
Hmm.
It's kind of a selfish thing, and I don't even know if it's selfish because I feel like if you guys were both in a relationship, it only makes sense
Hmm.
to, you know, come to an understanding of why it ends. That's why that
Hmm.
ghosting one threw me off earlier because I'm like, why? It's not like we're dating and we're just talking. Or we're in a boyfriend girlfriend relation and you ghost me. Like, where are you going to? I don't understand.
You're right.
Like, if we're going to end it, just say something to me. Have enough respect for me to, let me know. So yeah, I think we ask for it to just give our brain something to hold on to and to allow us move on, like accept that okay, this is over, and then have the peace of, well, you might not necessarily get that peace there and there. I think less likely you're able to get that peace, but being able to just like start the process of moving on. What do you think?
I agree. I think it definitely helps with like making sense of like the entire situation and allowing your brain to accept the current situation before you can move on. I think technically when a breakup happens, do you understand? Like there's a depending on how much time you spend with the person or how much you like the person, there's an initial stage of just being lost and being broken and nothing is clear anymore. But maybe if you know why someone doesn't want to, be with you, and if it's in a healthy relationship, it's something you can work on and move forward. Do you understand? Even though I don't know in that moment you'll be able to like accept that I am wrong in any situation, but like, you know, it's just a way for your brain to process, I guess, the entire thing and then move on. I guess it's a reason to move on. It's a reason to move on. It's a reason
Yeah,
to move on.
I agree. I think closures are, they're more so for the party that seeks it, right? It's
Oh,
like give me something.
that's such a good point. So who do you think needs it more? The breaker of hearts or the broken?
The broken for sure. The broken for sure.
Oh.
Because typically the person that is initiating the breakup has already gotten to like a closure themselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they just want to finish it by getting you on that same page as them. It's like, okay, in my own world though, we've broken up, but yeah, let me get you up to speed.
Hmm.
So I think I'm not saying that doing the breaking up is not hard because it is. However, I feel like closure, the higher yen for closure comes from the person that is being broken, like the person they're breaking up with. I think.
Hmm. Good
Yeah.
point. I think, but so in my own textbook, and this would, I think closure is earned. And what do I mean? So like,
Yes.
I don't
A
think.
lot of times,
Do you
sometimes it's
understand?
like apparent, like in those extreme blowout cases, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
you fucked up in this way, it's done, right? But a lot of times it's earned over time. But please continue.
Yeah, I think closure is earned over time. Like short relationships or things that were like, or flings or things that were not too serious. Do they deserve closure? Yes. Do you
Uh-uh.
need to give it to them? No. You understand what
No, don't do that to your shop leases.
I'm saying? But yeah, closure is earned. Let me not use like time frames and everything, but like, depending on how the situation was or how
Mm-hmm.
everything panned out, like, you know, I think meaningful relationships where a whole lot of investment has gone into, someone's time, which I think is the most important resource in a relationship. You get like someone's time, someone's money as well. You know, I don't know, all the other investments, physical investments to like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you've both been with each other and know each other in and out type of situation. And you not see you're moving on without like providing a good reason. Not that the reason will make sense, so but at least like try and make the other person understand why you're taking such a life changing decision, literally, that would affect them. Because, yeah, I think closure is earned. Like in that type of scenario, please have a conversation over dinner or something. Ah, does closure
Wait.
over dinner soften the blow?
Uh, Gosh, please can we? Oh God. I don't think closure in person is hard. It's hard. I won't lie. It's extremely
Yeah,
hard.
yeah,
It's
but at least
extremely.
a phone call, yeah, a phone
Yeah,
call or
I mean, I think you
something.
should do it in person. Like, I think it's the respectful thing to do. It's just like be prepped for, especially if it's things that you don't want to hear. I was gonna ask about like the whole time situation. So I do agree with you that like, and I don't know if you said this, but maybe you had implied it where over time, yeah, like after a breakup, whether or not you get the closure that you want,
Mhm.
over time, people move on.
Hmm.
It's natural to move on, right?
Right. Hmm.
I mean, life happens, you start to meet other people, you just like, you get into the groove of life again, which is kind of feeding into why closure typically is earned over time. Like you just close the door over time. However, I'm also starting to realize, and like I kind of have seen this as well, where because you don't get full closure, because you're not able to fully let go, I've seen situations where that door is still so accessible and it can be a
Hmm.
slippery slope. Like a very slippery slope where you're technically moving on, right? Like you have moved on, life is
Hmm.
going.
Hmm.
However, because you didn't fully close that door, you didn't fully make sense of things, anytime small wind is blown towards that side, the door opens and cracks open a bit. And I feel like that happens more times than we want it to. Um, and it's just sad reality of life, unfortunately.
I agree with you. I agree with you completely because at the end of the day, what you want to make sure of, I think, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
is that the both parties leave the situation. Ideally, that's why I said, in my opinion, both
Mm-hmm.
parties leave the situation with a sense of, okay, that was never going to work out, or
This is done.
this
But
is
a
done.
lot of times it's not that way.
You understand? A lot of
Uh
times it's not that way. So,
you say it, right? Like you say it, but it's not truly what it is.
hmm.
Yeah. So I feel like yes, you can obtain a certain level of closure over time, but there are times where that full closure it hasn't reached even with time. And
Hmm.
that is a scary place to be, especially if you're with somebody else that hasn't reached closure with somebody else. So
That's a good point.
it's hard. It's hard.
And you're pretty much, and that's a very tough spot to be. Like any day, your relationship can be over. Like
Literally, not even
any
over,
goddamn
but
day.
like somebody can just easily blow wind and cause
Do you understand?
chaos.
Everything would exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lade, you raise a good point. Being in a relationship with someone who hasn't like had the closure conversation with
It
their
doesn't even
ex
have
or
to
what.
be a conversation because sometimes laminated conversations are not even enough. You just so, and that's why when you said closure,
You're
is
right.
closure earned over
Conversations.
time?
Hmm.
Yes, it can be from like several factors, right? You're living your life. However, there are some times where you just don't close the chapter in your heart, in your mind, in your subconscious. There's still that slight
How do you imagine? Hey, big head.
openness.
Hey, big head.
Shut
One
up! Hey, big head. Long time no see.
long time no see. That was just
It just opened. Oh my gosh,
open a
yeah.
whole kind of worms. You understand? Wow,
It
wow,
happens
wow.
all the time, and
It
it's a
does.
really scary phenomenon because at the back of my head, I'm always like, wow, I wonder if like because it's also hard to navigate if like you're with somebody that you don't know has an open door for somebody else.
Hmm. Hmm.
As per like
Nadi,
this
you're opening
delicious.
some doors right now. God.
No, the way I told you, I was so itchy. Like, uh, but I mean, hey guys, I hope this never happens to anyone because it's a weird place to be in, and I feel like I also
It
asked myself,
is.
and actually, let me ask you
Okay.
this weird question: do you feel like it is normal to have like a what if person? So
Hmm.
a what if person is that person that like you just never fully close the door on them. Like this whole closure talk, and that's why I said earlier, like it's not just a talk. Closure is really just closing the chapter on them. Like you just never got there. Which is like you guys have broken up. You're going about with your life or you're doing
Mm-hmm.
things, but anytime a slight memory or thought comes up, you just have that like voice that says, I wonder, what if? Do you think that's
Yes,
okay?
I think it's okay.
Okay, you think so? How do you
I
navigate that in a new relationship?
and so this is where, and you will see how it's problematic for me.
Okay.
I think it's okay, and I would say a good part for you to helping that thought be like standard would be making sure that whoever you're with
Hmm.
or whoever you're with over a certain all those periods of time does not know of that person, your what if person,
Like at all.
at all.
Okay.
But why is problem? Or they can know of the person, but they should not know that that's your what if person.
Not know
But
that
where
there
it's
exists those.
problematic for me is
Yeah.
I'm an honest person,
As you should.
as I should. But you see how that's contradictory, right?
I
Me,
mean,
I
I
would
don't open your
say
mouth and say, "Oh, this is my what if person to your new woman."
no.
I
I
would
wouldn't say.
give you
I
scream at you over the phone.
I wouldn't say it is my what if person, but I'm just saying that in my honesty,
Hmm.
like the way I might just talk about the person, not maybe in conversation one day or whatever, you might just be putting two and two together that, oh, this person and this person, oh, okay. But my own advice would be, in fact, I think you should have your what if person just because anything can happen. Like me, I don't like to close.
Love this. Seems like you're encouraging it to like everybody identify your what if person.
Well, it's because like I think everyone
That is
has.
the
It's not like
reality
I'm
of life.
encouraging.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not like
Yeah.
I'm encouraging it, but I think everyone has that.
Yeah.
And the beauty I think is we all do not know each other what is person, which is a good thing. Like just keep
Yeah.
it to yourself,
To
that type of
yourself.
thing. And if, for instance, like I said earlier, the opportunity does present itself, hey big head, one day, or more. It's to enter, you understand? Like, okay, but like, yeah, simply put, I think it's not a bad thing to have
Mm.
a what if person because I know timing, excuse my French, but like timing can be the B word. Like
Timing is a
timing,
bitch, please.
timing is a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you think to yourself like we're saying, what if this, and this? What
Yeah.
if we're in the same city?
Yeah.
What if we didn't live,
Yeah.
when we were young? What if we had spent this time together? What
Yeah.
if I had said yes when
Yeah.
she asked me to like,
Yup.
and
Yup.
all
Yup.
those things fuck with your head a
Fucks you
whole
up.
fucks you up. You understand? Because
And you
in your
can't. You now
mind,
say you've closed. There's no closure. I mean,
there's no
there
closure
is.
there.
You've moved on, and that's what I was trying to like say. That you can't fully get closure from somebody and like move on, but there are some times where there is still that lingering thoughts. Because also on the flip side, there's certain people where that what if is not even, there's no feasibility about it. Like you hear the person's name and you're just laughing like, ah, wow, that person is really in my past and like stayed there. Like there's certain people that you truly, truly just close the door and there's no ounce of anything opening ever again. And like you truly, truly know that. It's not even you're lying to yourself, no. But there are certain people where yes, you've moved on, but if a certain different type of life presented its case, would you not open the door?
I
I
will.
don't know.
I will open the door with with the master key. No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll open the door with master key because, like you said, like I'm assuming that at this point the situation is balanced. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, and I can move forward with it. And if anything, it provides a whole sense of joy and fulfillment that it is finally happening. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I don't even know, I've heard of so many stories that it happens for people with their what if person when they are 40, when they are 50, when they
Ah,
are 60. But do
ah,
you do you, do you, do you, do you, do you know what's funny? You
what?
then think like, if you had your what if person earlier, would you still be together?
Exactly. Or and yes, there's that piece, and then there's also the other piece of, and this is the one that like hurts me a bit, where it's like, okay, you have this word of person. What if there's another party in the mix? Like, is that party just the settle, like who you're settling for? Do you
Hmm.
get? Like,
So
oh, go ahead.
I I think a friend of mine had explained this to me.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, she was like, depending on your situation, Sha, because I don't know, people's situations are different. However,
Right.
are we not all someone's second option? Like, the world is too big and open for you to think that like everyone is like number one. Like, yeah, we all say it and it all sounds sweet and all that, but like there are options. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like,
Okay, I get what
yeah.
you're saying, especially
And
with like,
the reason why I say that is because at the end of the day, when you make your choice or you're moving forward and you're saying, oh, would the other person don't feel like a second, would the
mm-hmm,
other person don't feel like a second option? At that point in time, I don't think they are. Do you get what I'm saying? It's
mm,
like that's the choice available to you at that point in time. But if they have context, then they know their second option. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if they know, and I think my own advice would be you owe it to yourself to pursue what you want and what you like and what you prefer per time wholeheartedly without reservation. Do you
mm,
understand?
that's a good, yeah.
Then
I
if it doesn't work out and and all that, you can then do the like go after what you what works for you or like the
the
next
other
best thing
option,
or
yeah.
all that. But it's not a situation where it's not advisable in my opinion for you to like, let's assume there are two girls now or whatever that you like and all that. You're not trying to play both hands type of situation because like one person will feel like, oh, so I'm second fiddle or what. You understand that type of thing. You can go the route of being honest and explaining to, I don't know, either party that this situation, blah 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 blah. I'm going after this person, all right. and that person too will go have their own life too and date and do whatever. Not like one person is waiting for another person.
Mm-hmm.
You get that type of thing. Let both parties live their lives. You understand what I'm saying? If it's meant to happen, both of you will find each other. Like,
I agree with you. Like that whole experience, kind of your present state wholeheartedly. I
hmm
definitely think because something you were saying earlier that I was gonna like interjecting was the fact that your friend is right, whoever told you that, in the sense of, yes, in this life, you can have like a certain experience that is great, but we can't also undermine like the role your environment plays on you, one, the role like situations play on you, right? Like sometimes things are just not aligning. You and somebody might just never have the opportunity to ever be in the same city. You and somebody, I've seen this extreme where it's like you and somebody's family are just like opposing ends. So the chances of you know, navigating through that, you're already starting at a disadvantage. So there are times where, as much as like what ifs are hard to let go of,
mm,
you have to be realistic of like, okay, here and now, with what
mm,
everything, with what the things that I have around me, the reality of like my life and how best I can make my life as advantageous to me, like
right.
how can I, make the best of this situation? And it's just experiencing what you're experiencing like here and now. Now, where I get like, okay, I don't agree with this, and I think you had mentioned this, is where you now try to like eat your cake and have it, right?
hmm
Keep your what if person either waiting or on guard, and then still experience it all with, the other person, right?
Exactly.
That's not that
That's
we
not.
don't condone that over here.
We don't exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's my point. You always say things a whole lot better. Shout out to you. But like, yeah, I think you know, allow your what if person, all that. Let them live their life. Do you
Let
understand?
them live
Like,
that. You
let
live your
everybody.
life.
You to live your life. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you're not together for a reason. Like at that point in time, or it couldn't work at that point in time for whatever the reason, whether distance or whatever the situation is. But like both parties should live their lives and build your experiences or have your experiences. And if it's meant to be or whatever, it will happen. And you both can appreciate that every other thing led back to that person. Do you understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's beautiful in itself, you know?
Yeah. I have a question for you. So
Yeah, go
we've
ahead.
kind of spoken about this where like closure can sometimes make things worse, right? So
hmm
how do you let go or move on when the closure you're getting is either too painful or it's just like it's not enough for you to hold on to. Like it's just not enough. Like how do you now keep moving with your life?
I can speak to this and the
Yes.
answer is simple.
What?
It's a four-letter word, time.
Okay.
It's a four-letter word, time. Because I've experienced this
Mm-hmm.
and there's no how like Lade, I've I tried the whole painting myself a picture type of situation could work. It did not work. Like zero. It was because if anything, it made me so weak. It made me so just the mere thought of it alone that I could not wrap my head around why I wasn't good enough or why I wasn't able to make the situation work. It made me ask myself questions a lot, and I didn't like that. And the only thing that helped was time. Like time is they say time heals all wounds, and I think it's a true statement.
Yeah.
Time over time, you begin to let go of the pain or the memories attached to the hurt or the situation or the reason the person gave you, quote unquote, whether they did give you a reason or not a reason. Time helps you, time fills in those blanks with maybe newer experiences or
Mm-hmm.
just even random space where you discover like I'm telling you, where you discover like 3 months down the line, you're not even thinking of the person as much again
Yeah.
because other things are happening, other exciting things are happening in your life. And I'm guessing that's why it's important to have like a good support system, like a good group of friends that can help you create new memories and new experiences. Do you understand that can overshadow that? But I think my answer to that is time. Simply put,
Yeah.
time. I think, at least for me,
Yeah.
every other thing is I don't because I tried like I I tried moving on and just like reconciling. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. Like, but time I think gave me an escape. How about
Yeah.
you?
I definitely agree. I feel like time is the biggest element because all the things I was gonna say, it literally has time accounted into it.
Mm,
Um, I will say like even just pulling from my own books of like what worked for me, it's like
mm,
focusing on the things that you can control, right? Because
hmm.
I think there is an element of, I believe I said this earlier, where typically the closure is something that the person that is being broken up with yearns for, right? It's typically something that makes you want to let go. It allows you let go fully. And the flip side of it is when you do the breaking up with and you've come to, okay, this is over, there is still an element of like guilt and an element of okay, but this is not something that I have anymore. So for both parties, this can work. I do feel like focusing on what you can control. So things that you might do to better yourself, things that you can do to like just help yourself, like self improvement, self advancement,
Hmm.
that I think you said this as well, but maybe it didn't work for you because you said you stopped painting the picture. I personally feel like painting a larger picture helps. So when I say larger picture, like focusing on the future. So more so like, okay, what can I take from this experience that would help, longer term?
That makes
Okay,
sense.
yeah, right. Like less of you and that person, more so, okay, future states, bigger picture, all of that, all of that, all of that.
Hmm.
Distractions, you also said this as well. Like
Hmm.
distractions help. Good, bad, indifferent, they help.
Hmm. Hmm.
Different to
Yep.
the good ones, because those help you better yourself. But they all help.
They all help.
um
Why do you think the pubs always make money?
they all help. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think the last one for me is like forgiving yourself. Like yourself, the other party as well. There is an element of like forgiveness. Cause
Do you think people can forgive and forget?
I don't think forgetting is easy. So I wouldn't put the forgetting there. But forgiving really allows you to like fully let go because as much as we don't like to own up to this, but anger and frustration and disappointment, dissatisfaction, it carries a lot of weight
Hmm.
in your mind. Even guilt, like all of those, I would say, emotions, they come with baggage. So just really truly forgiving, if it's yourself for doing something fucked up, if it's your partner for doing something fucked up, whatever it may be, like forgive yourself, forgive your partner, and just see how that is going to lift weight on you. Like I promise you, it really does help. Well, it helped for me, Sha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's important to learn to forgive yourself and just make peace with everything. And you don't want to continue looking at yourself as the problem or as the reason for a whole lot of bad stuff. So I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. I agree. I really
This
enjoyed this
was,
episode.
I know, this was so fun. I really liked it. Thank you for, pulling me out of the cave I didn't want to come out of because I was so
I
scared for this conversation. But I think it was fine. I think it
think
was
it
fine.
was.
Thank you guys for listening this far. You can find us on any podcast streaming platform, wherever you get your podcasts.
That's right.
Thank you so much for the support thus far this season. We've been getting just, great feedback. Thank you for also rating us. Please continue to do that. 5 stars only. Please, we're begging you. It does allow us grow.
They
It
know
does.
what's up. I think by now they know.
You
5 stars
know,
or
5
nothing.
stars
Like,
only on podcast streaming platforms. Rate us, send us DMs, comment on our stuff, like interact with us. We love all the input, all the feedback. Next season, we're trying to pull some of you listeners on the show.
let's
So
go.
if you're interested, send us an email, life@adultpuzzlepod.com, and you can be on air. Okay, we want to grow this beyond just our friends and our family. We want to get like just everybody's story on here,
You
every
guys are already
puzzle,
technically part of the gang. So,
right? Exactly. AP,
yeah. Send
we
us
out
an email,
here.
shoot us a DM on social media, and we'll get talking.
Yes, yes, exactly. Thank you so so much. Lamide, have a great rest of your weekend. Go do something fun this Friday, okay?
I will. I will. I'll take you up on that actually.
All right. Bye.
Bye.